They are planning the greatest wealth transfer in history, and your house is on the list. If you think the government can't take your property, you're dead wrong. Here are the 3 non-negotiable steps you must take before the end of this year to secure your deed and your family's future. And I promise you, most people only know the first step. They are completely unaware of the legal maneuvers in steps 2 and 3. In 2008, the rules changed overnight. The speed of the foreclosure crisis proved that exposure matters more than equity. This time, the rules are changing faster, not just in finance, but in law and policy. The people who survived weren't the wealthiest. They were the ones who understood their vulnerabilities before the system tightened. That pattern is happening again. Property ownership, tax structures, and regulatory frameworks are shifting, and most people won't realize it until it's too late. Let's start with the one you think you know. Thing number 1, mortgage exposure. Most people think of a mortgage as a loan. You borrow money, you pay it back, you own the house. Simple. That used to be accurate. For decades, mortgages functioned as stable, predictable contracts. You knew your rate, you knew your timeline, you knew that as long as you made payments, you were safe. But a mortgage isn't just a loan anymore, it's a financial instrument. It's bundled, sold, securitized, and traded across institutions. And when systemic stress hits, the entity that holds your mortgage may not be the bank you signed with. It may not even be a bank at all. During the 2008 crisis, thousands of families who were current on payments still faced foreclosure because the legal ownership of their mortgage had been transferred so many times that nobody could prove who actually held the note. Courts were backlogged. Families spent years in legal limbo. Some lost their homes, even though they'd done everything right. That's what happens when mortgages stop being agreements and start being assets in a failing system. The ideal solution is simple. Pay off your mortgage. Own the house outright. Eliminate the debt. But that's not realistic for most people. So what do you do if you're carrying a mortgage and can't pay it off tomorrow? You reduce your exposure in 3 ways. First, shorten your risk window. If you have a 30-year mortgage, explore refinancing to a 15-year or even a 10-year term. Yes, the payments are higher, but you're cutting the time you're vulnerable in half. You're shrinking the window where a systemic shift can catch you mid-contract. Second, increase predictability. If you have an adjustable rate mortgage, lock in a fixed rate now. Adjustable rates are leverage against you when rates spike. Fixed rates are certainty. In unstable systems, certainty is a defensive asset. Third, build a payment buffer. This doesn't mean an emergency fund in the traditional sense. It means liquidity that is specifically earmarked for your mortgage and nothing else. 6 months of payments, 12 if possible. Not in a savings account, somewhere accessible but separate. Because if systems freeze, if banks limit withdrawals, if your income is delayed, if transaction processing slows, you need to be able to make that payment without depending on anything working normally. The goal isn't to eliminate the mortgage. The goal is to reduce the number of variables that can go wrong while you still have one. Thing number 2, legal and structural awareness. Most people think ownership is binary. Either you own your home or you don't. That used to be a safe assumption. For most of modern history, property ownership in the US was straightforward. You held the deed, you paid your taxes, the government left you alone, but ownership and control are not the same thing. And in times of systemic tightening, the gap between those two things becomes a vulnerability. During the Great Depression, property taxes spiked in many counties as local governments scrambled for revenue. Families who owned their homes outright, no mortgage, no debt, lost them anyway because they couldn't pay the new tax bills. Ownership didn't protect them, legal control did. Fast forward to today. Property taxes are rising, zoning laws are tightening, environmental regulations are expanding, rental restrictions are increasing. In some cities, local governments are gaining authority to redefine how you can use property you technically own. You still hold the deed, but the deed doesn't guarantee the same level of control it used to. So what do? You add friction between your name and your property. This is where structures like trusts and LLCs come in, not as loopholes, not as ways to hide, but as layers of legal complexity that slow down the process if someone, a government, creditor, or litigant, tries to move against your property. That is what the wealthy and the elite do. A trust doesn't make your home invisible, but it does mean that taking your home requires navigating a legal entity, not just targeting you personally. An LLC doesn't exempt you from taxes or laws, but it does separate your personal liability from your property's liability. These structures don't provide immunity, they provide time. And in a crisis, time is often the difference between losing an asset and keeping it. If you own your home in your own name, you are the single point of failure. One judgment, one lien, one policy change, and your home is exposed. If your home is held in a structure, the process becomes slower, more complex, and more expensive for anyone trying to touch it. That complexity works in your favor. This isn't legal advice, it's a principle. The more friction you create between external pressure and your core assets, the more time you have to respond when pressure increases. Talk to an attorney, understand what options exist in your state. Don't wait until you need protection to build it. Thing number 3, functional independence. Most people think resilience means survival gear, generators, solar panels, water storage. That's not what this is about. Resilience, in the context of your home, means this. Can your home function when normal systems don't? When economic stress hits, the first thing that fails isn't the grid or the water supply, it's your ability to afford the systems your home depends on. Think about it. Your home requires electricity, water, gas, internet, waste removal, and often homeowners association fees. All of these are monthly dependencies. All of these are controlled by external entities. And all of these can be cut off, repriced, or restructured faster than you can adapt. During the 2008 crisis, people didn't just lose homes to foreclosure. They lost them because they couldn't afford the utilities to keep them livable. Families would stay in the house as long as possible, but once the water was shut off, once the power was cut, the house became uninhabitable, even if they still legally owned it. Functional independence isn't about going off-grid. It's about reducing the number of external dependencies your home has. Start with energy. Can you reduce your electric bill by 30%, 50%, even 70%? Not by installing a full solar system, though that helps if you can afford it, but by addressing inefficiency, insulation, window sealing, switching to low-energy appliances. The goal is to lower your baseline consumption so that even if prices double, you can still afford to stay. Water is next. Do you have a backup water source? Even a basic rain catchment system gives you non-potable water for flushing toilets, watering plants, cleaning. It's not about replacing city water. It's about reducing dependence on it, heating and cooling. Can your home stay livable without climate control? This isn't about comfort. It's about whether your home becomes unlivable in extreme heat or cold if you lose power or can't afford the bill. Passive cooling strategies, thermal mass, ventilation design. These are structural decisions that reduce fragility. Every system your home depends on that you don't control is a point of failure. You can't eliminate all of them, but you can reduce how much each one matters. When systems tighten, when costs spike, when policies change, the homes that fail first are the ones that require everything to work perfectly just to stay functional. What ties all 3 of these together is fragility. The homes most at risk aren't the ones in bad neighborhoods or with structural problems. They're the ones with the most dependencies, the most exposure, the most assumptions that the system will keep working the way it always has. A mortgage you can't escape. A legal structure that makes you the single point of failure. A home that stops being livable the moment one system fails. Those are the vulnerabilities. The solution isn't dramatic. It's not bunkers or gold bars or moving to the wilderness. It's reducing exposure, shortening risk windows, adding friction, cutting dependencies. This isn't about predicting the future. It's about understanding that when systems change, the people who adapt early don't panic. They adjust, they prepare, they build in margins. You don't need to believe in any specific conspiracy to recognize that the cost of waiting is higher than the cost of acting. So pick one: mortgage exposure, legal structure, or functional independence. Pick the one that feels most urgent to you, and start before the end of this year. Families who lost their homes in 2008 didn't see it coming either. But the ones who kept them? They were already prepared before the rules changed. If this video just gave you the clarity you needed, hit that like button and subscribe for more strategies to protect what's yours. Drop a comment. Which of these 3 are you tackling first? Stay sharp, stay protected. I'll see you in the next one.